Someone please confirm am I audible or not?
Yes, sir, you're audible. You can share your screen.
Yeah, actually I'm not able to connect myself from the PC. It is disconnected again and again. I have
Okay. Okay.
so as soon as I connect, I'll share the PPT. Till the time will be started.
Yeah, you can share to us.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, you please do share on the WhatsApp, sir. We'll show it.
Is it visible? Is it visible?
Have you? Not yet, sir. Have you sent to us, sir?
I haven't sent you. I have shared it to you. I guess it would be visible now because it's going visible. It's not visible. Hello? May I know if
Yes, sir.
it is visible? Is it visible?
No, 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 not, sir. It's not visible. Yeah, I can see the request of your
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
another account.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now
I'll share it.
you can use the audio of your mobile phone, and you can just start sharing from your system.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be visible, no?
Yes, sir. It's loading. Okay, I guess we can start now. So,
Yeah.
warm welcome to all, one and all present here virtually. My name is Sumit. I'm the host for today's session, and we are gathered here virtually for this exclusive session, which is titled as "Changing Business Environment After COVID." And for this, to deliver this session, we do have with us our today's expert, Mr. Alok Upadhyay. He has done his BTech in the field of electronics and communication, and post that I worked for an year in HCL Technology as an analyst. He has done MBA from prestigious college IMI and post that worked for ICICI Bank as a deputy manager. He has also worked as an analyst in a GD Research Private Limited, one of the leading research company headquartered in UK. He is actively engaged in the research work and currently working as an assistant professor in Rafikira Hill University, Bhimtal. So without wasting much time, let me welcome Mr. Alok Upadhyay. Please continue.
Thank you very much. And very warm good afternoon to all. So to start with the topic as you all know is the changing business environment after COVID. Because COVID has had a very big impact on the business environment. To start, the COVID-19 pandemic has not only actually upended the society and inflicted tragic losses, but it has also been a defining moment for business. Because if we see, there have been a lot of changes in the business environment, which have been positive as well as negative. So if we talk about technology, we see that there have been many positive changes that we have witnessed. So many of the practices, if we talk about, has been common during this time. So they may be the online commerce and banking, remote working, and if you talk about healthcare sector also, there have been remote healthcare services. There have been digital learning and entertainment. And these are the services which will continue long after even the crisis, if the crisis subsides. So these services can be availed, these things can be used even if the COVID disappears. So if we have learned that the pandemic has been a stress test for business, because there are many things that used to happen earlier, but now they are not happening. So there have been a lot of problems that the businesses have faced, because the communication is one of the major problems that have been faced by the businesses. Earlier, what used to happen was there were normal things that were there in the organization. So if we talk about, the communication was very much easier when the COVID was not there, but the things have changed now. The reason being, earlier what used to happen was that there was no social distancing norms, etc., because the need was not felt. There was no need, there was no pandemic, there was no disease. So people used to easily communicate. If we see, the people used to come to office directly, so they could be easily communicated about things. But after March 2020, when the lockdown happened, there were few challenges. People could not come to the office. Even if they started coming, they couldn't come to the full capacity. So there was a problem. How they can communicate the thing, how the businesses can communicate things to the people, and how the proper communication can be maintained. This was a very big problem that was faced by the businesses. Not only communication, if we talk about the work things, there was a problem, because how the work can be continued. If I'm sitting at home, there are few things that I can do here, but there'll be maximum things that I'll have problem in. And I'll not have someone near me who can resolve those issues. So to resolve this problem, there have been many things that have been introduced. We can actually thank to the technology that has made the work a bit easier. So the management teams had to rush to close facilities and offices because they had to rethink their supply chains, diffuse rising cyber threats, and preserve their bottom lines as the world economy tanked. Because if we talk about technologies, yes, the technologies came into picture. There were many things that were introduced. If we talk about this webinar also, earlier there were very few webinars organized. Usually seminars were there in the offline modes. But now what has happened is the launch of Zoom app or the other apps like WebEx, etc., or the Teams. There have been different things. The technology has eased the things. But if we talk about technology, the technology has eased the things, but there are also rising cyber threats. So with the advantages comes the disadvantages as well. So the cyber threats could be one of the problem, as you would have witnessed during the first phase of the COVID, that people started using Zoom and all these applications, and there were few problems related to cyber threats because some of their data was stolen. So this was one of the problem that was there. And also a big problem that has been eased by this technology is the bottom lines. As the economy has tanked, so the need was felt to preserve the bottom lines. If we talk about the supply chains was one of the factor that that was to be looked upon, because supply chain was usually operating in the offline modes only, and it was very difficult to bring it completely to the online mode. So these are few of the challenges so that have been faced. So now we'll be talking about that what changes have been made. If we talk about the first change that comes into the mind, then it would be the digital first, which has replaced the brick and mortar store. So if we recall the days before COVID, usually what used to happen was that maximum population used to go to the stores, and they used to purchase things directly from the stores. And the payment mode was also with the physical money usually, though the digital payment came into picture earlier than the COVID things, but the maximum transaction that was happening was only through physical money. But these things have changed now. So if we talk about the e-commerce, entertainment, education sector, we've been witnessing these things, that the things have changed to a lot of extent, and we are now switching to the digital mode more. Even if the COVID disappears, this is going to be one of the changing things, one of the best things that the COVID has given us, apart from the disadvantages it has given us. So this is one of the advantage that we are witnessing now. If I talk about the education industry, so if we talk about the education industry, usually there were coaching centers, usually there were normal classrooms that were running at that time, but things had to be changed, because after COVID, it was not easier for the students or the teachers to be present at the physical mode. So the things changed entirely. There was a question that how this thing can be online, because earlier there were only few things that, like if we talk about Byju's, so if we talk about Byju's, we see that Byju's at the time was already operating, but they were not reachable to many people. So if we talk now, in schools, they were learning or maybe online modes, where they are offering their platforms, and where they work in the. So this is what has changed, because we just used to see Byju's etc. that were operating. But now there are many platforms that are now operating. Even the normal schools are operating by the online modes. So this is one of the change that that's on that is entirely changes. And even if it goes, this change is going to benefit us. This benefit us if we see in the perspective like COVID, like we see that people are not limited, but also costs have come down. So this that you have to pay when not in the physical coaching center, you can get these teachers, same coaching centers, same courses, cheaper cost after the introduction of the technology. After COVID-19, there opportunity
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Your voice is breaking, sir, and the slides are not uh, uh, moving. I guess that's the issue of some network. It's still disturbing, sir. Sound is not clear, sir. You can use the sound of your mobile phone, sir. You can just mute from here, and you can keep the mic on of your mobile, and you can just share your screen from laptop or from the system. No, sir, it's not audible.
Yeah, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Also, the voice is perfect.
Yeah, is the voice?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you.
Yeah. So if I talk about digital solutions, earlier what people used to think was this thing is just for the millennials. So it has been the normal thing now, and it has been understood that it is not just for the millennials anymore. So that the pandemic has moved the daily living, shopping, and the entire working online, not just for the younger consumers, but also for the seniors. So if I talk about the normal working of the companies, you will see that when the pandemic started, earlier people used to think that how the working will go on. So what they've witnessed now is that the things have come back to normal. Even if we talk about online things, it has made the things easier rather than making it difficult. People can be at their place and they can work. So they can be more productive in that case as well. And if we talk about communications, by the introduction of different apps like Zooms, Teams, etc., the communication has also become easier. And if we see the recent reports launched by the IBM and the Gartner, then we can also find out that the productivity has increased. Earlier, it was supposed that the productivity will go down, but the productivity has increased. That is what we have seen in the research so far. So, and if you also talk about the health issues, earlier people were having health issues because they were not getting the time. But now that thing has been sorted because people, while being at home, can keep them healthier and also can work. So it's a win-win situation for the company as well as the employees. If we talk about the this is what I was talking about. Working becomes virtual and healthier, because if we see that within the workplace itself, over 40% anticipate shifts from physical to digital jobs. More automated workflows have happened, and increased employee training on digital skills have happened. So these trainings, etc., have obviously trained the employees, and they have become more productive. So if we talk about the companies now, they have given the option of working from anywhere. So even the people working from a very distant part can now work in a company and also be at their homes at the same time, keeping their health better. So different social concepts have also evolved with this, and the companies are able to reduce the turnover rates that were there earlier. So about 20% of the anticipate headcounts reductions and increasing use of automation to replace workers. And this number has risen to more than 30% for companies with over $10 billion in revenue. This is what we have found out from the research done by the Gartner. If we talk about the changes that have occurred in the industries, so naturally the pandemic is affecting industries differently. Manufacturers are enduring accurate short-time disruptions, and they expect it to last at least another few years, because we are expecting that the pandemic will not go directly as of now. It will take time. So businesses in these sectors which have affected a lot are the most likely to make significant cost reductions, and they are making the changes at least for the time being till the COVID is there, and the least likely to accelerate digital transformation. With the expectation is that 6 out of 10 manufacturers pausing their strategic plans due to COVID, and these companies face our rocky roads. So mostly, if we talk about these companies, these are going to be from the education sectors and the financial sectors. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we were talking about different sectors which are actually witnessing the change due to COVID, and that have actually faced the advantage rather than the disadvantages of the COVID. So one of the sector that we talked about was education sector. So what you would have seen earlier was that people used to go offline, and then there was a problem because COVID came. So the problem emerged. The main thing that we can, the main problem that actually came was that when the online system started, many of the people in India were not having those many mobile phones. If we talk about the rural areas, in the urban areas, it was very easy to operate in that mode as well. But if we talk about the rural areas, it was very difficult for the parents or the students because they were not having ample amount of mobile phones that could be used, because we saw during the first phase of the COVID that many of the people at their home had one mobile phone, but the children that were there who had to study from the online mode were two or three. So it became very difficult in that way as well. Also, if I talk about the internet penetration, though after the introduction of Geo has increased a lot, but still the penetration had not reached that level that everyone could attend those sessions. Though the things have changed in the past 2 years, people have adapted to these situations as well. So the things have changed. So one of the sector was education sector. If you see, the people used to take coaching, etc., of different things, like they used to go for JE or the medical services, or they used to take coaching of the IS, UPSC, etc. So in that also they had to attend the offline classes. But COVID has taught us that it can be done by the online mode also, by reducing the cost. So these things have really been advantages and have happened only after the COVID era. And talking about the financial services, I was talking about the talking about the financial services. Usually we see the banks. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible.
Yeah. So the financial services have suffered a lot, because earlier if we see the banks, people used to do everything offline there. Everything was offline there. Because people used to go to the banks and do the things. But now the brick and mortar store or the completely to the online platform, I would say, because now if you want to do any, then you can do it by your mobile phones easily. There are apps of every bank. You can easily use those apps. You can take the services, and you can easily do everything smoothly. And by that, you can even save time. Because earlier what used to happen was that, suppose you want to go to a bank and you are working somewhere. So it would be very difficult for you to go, because the banks would operate from Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday would be off, on at least on the second and fourth Saturday would be an off. And your working days would be same. You would be working somewhere and your days would be also Monday to Friday. So it would be very difficult to avail services, because if you talk about banking system, it is very important because your hard earned money is there. So you have to take care of that. You cannot trust anyone regarding that. So there were times when you had to go to the banks and then do the operations, and the working hours also clashed. So it was very difficult for people to go directly to the bank and do their work. But if I talk about the advantages that have happened after the COVID, so this is one of the advantage. that after COVID, people have learned how they can use the online platform and how they can operate by that. So the financial sectors have taught us that how things can be changed. If I talk about the other things, if we talk about the technology has changed in many fronts. Even if I talk about the businesses have entirely changed, even in the communication or their working forum, completely changed. If you talk about the costs that the companies had to bear, earlier when it was work from office, the companies had to bear a very high cost. But now they are able to do the same work with the lesser cost involved. So this is one of the things that has happened. This is the change that has gone. So even if you talk about few companies like IBM, etc., they are planning for their half of the workforce to still be in the offline mode only. Sorry, the online mode only. They want their half of the employees to work from home only, even if the COVID ends. Because the productivity is increasing, the employees are more happy rather than coming to the office. So there are many companies, if you talk about few companies in India as well, if you talk about Deloitte, they want to operate in the hybrid mode. They want few of their employees to come to office and few of the employees to work directly from home only, as they were doing earlier. So they have fixed few days that on these days you have to come.
Hello. 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 Yes, yes, sir. I guess we were at the end of the session actually. Still your voice is not audible, sir. I think there is a issue of network.
Yeah, there would be a network.
Yes, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yes, now it's audible, sir.
Yeah, so I would like to conclude on this. I have already told that the major sectors that have been hit by the pandemic and that have witnessed the advantages of technology are education sector and the financial sectors. So to conclude, looking at the bigger picture, we believe that the coronavirus will make business change a greater imperative, but also more difficult to accomplish because of budget cuts and related capital constraints. So to stay successful in post-pandemic world, CEOs and their teams have to rethink their strategies, their business models, and the mission. So while companies will undoubtedly become more digital, they'll also become more socially responsible as they strive to meet the morphing attitudes and increasing desire of customers and employees for a healthier and safer world.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for today's session. I would like to tell all the participants that this complete session will be available on our Business Rozgar YouTube channel. So if you have any queries regarding today's session, or if you have missed it due to some reason, or if you want to share it, you can just go to Business Rozgar YouTube channel and just you can comment there your queries. I would like to thank all the participants who were live and who will be watching later on. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Alok Upadhyay sir for taking out the time. Despite of all these network issues, he's still managed to conduct the complete session. I thank for that. And with your permission, I would like to end the today's session here, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a good time.